How you going, people? Okay, so I did the series of her evaluation before the verdict was out. So for somebody to come in here and tell me that I was wrong in the verdict and I should have watched the verdict, look, these videos were done before this verdict came out. So I added this to the front of the first video. They found her guilty of murder. I think this is an absolute horrible decision, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get appealed and overturned. But who knows? If they, if they pick like they do everything else about color, this was a horrible case all around. And I guarantee you, had the colors of the victim and the shooter been different, we would have never seen or heard of this trial. But anyway, found not guilty, and the family is happy that another life is ruined. It wasn't enough that she lost her job and that she didn't mean to and it was a mistake and granted was killed. No, that's not good enough. We want her found guilty of murder and we want her to go to jail for the rest of her life. Perfect. You know what that tells me? That tells me the guy that was killed probably wasn't raised as perfect as everybody wants to say. But here's my basically a little courtroom testimony 101 to help prepare you if you ever get caught in a jury. There's a lot of videos. There's 20 of them, and I think they're 15 or 20 minutes each. And I go through every bit of her testimony on what I think the lawyers did wrong, how she answered wrong, etc. And I give you my experience. If you don't want to watch it, then don't watch it. But if you're going to watch it and come and cry, then I'm just going to block you because I don't want to deal with you. I put it out there for those who want to learn. If you carry a gun, if you could be involved in deadly force, I definitely think you ought to watch her testimony. And so you can understand how when government wants to manipulate and get you and lie, they can do it. And obviously, because of this verdict, it worked. But I just don't see how they can't appeal this decision. Anyway, here's the first part 1 of the 21-part series on Amber Guyger testimony. All right. Some people wanted me to go over her testimony. Now, as an instructor, when you're going to teach something, you tell somebody what you're going to teach them, then you tell them what you're teaching them, and then you go over what you taught them, so it reinforces it. So why would people want to listen to this? To me, I'm doing this that anybody in any day could become a victim of the government, and you could find yourself in trial either for an accident, for protecting someone, for doing something you thought was right, for helping someone, or for being a witness, for just seeing something. So there's a possibility that you could find yourself on a stand. And courtroom survival is one of those things that aren't taught real well for cops or anybody else. It's usually through trial and error and experience. Every time you go to trial and you look dumb or you do something stupid, you learn from it. So there's not a whole lot of what I would consider courtroom survival taught. So that's what this video series is going to be. And I'm going to make these about 15-minute clips. So if you want to keep watching, you can. Then I'll make a little playlist. So let me, Alexa, set timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes. 30 minutes.
All right. So here we go. Here's the first 15-minute block. The defense is calling their star witness, Amber Guyger. She was there. She was the only one that was there. So her testimony is very critical, and how she comes across is critical. So I think the defense made a mistake by calling her first, because you're going to hear in his testimony where he's interviewing her and questioning her, she never uses the term fight or flight, tunnel visions, confusion, rapidly evolving situation. She doesn't use Supreme Court lingo. She doesn't use reasonableness. She doesn't defend herself and make her answers to what I say helps her. She just answers. And had they put experts before her and explained to the jury so the jury knew what fight or flight was, and why she didn't do the things, because the defense really beats her up about, why didn't you see this? Why didn't you see the mat? Why didn't you see that wasn't your partner? Why didn't you see that the light went on? Why didn't you see he was eating ice cream? So they keep bringing all this, and it's a pretty simple answer. I mean, as an expert, I'd be like, she didn't see those things because she was in fear of her life. And the Supreme Court has ruled that when you're in fear, that's why you fire your gun, you fire multiple rounds, and I can give all kind of case law backing that up. But for fight or flight, a non-voluntary response where your mind gets an adrenaline jump, you get tunnel vision. And one of the experts explained it as unintentional blindness. And it's the same thing. You lock in on a weapon. Amber Guyger opened that door. She was surprised. It shocked her. She went into fight or flight. She got an adrenaline jump. She thought her life was in danger. She thought somebody had broke into her apartment. She thought she was in her home or her castle. And she reacted. She drew her gun, challenged the guy, and the guy came at her, and she shot him. Because in her mind, I'm in my apartment, and this guy shouldn't be here. Holy shit, now he's coming at me. So in her fearful state, whether or not you believe any of that, whether you want to argue whether she shouldn't have, whether she should have backed up, whether she should have called 911, whatever. I'm just telling you, fight or flight was a key issue here, and I don't think they gave her the ability to sound more credible on the stand. Now, a lot of cops don't testify on the stand a lot. I know cops who have gone 20 years and never been to a jury trial. And that could be a lot of reasons. One is, if you're in a busy area, the DA pleads off a lot of stuff to clear cases to make room for serious cases. And if you're not in a real serious case where a guy's facing a whole lot of time, the DA will usually plead it down. If you're a crappy cop and you do shitty reports and you don't testify well and the cop or the DA doesn't like you, he'll plead your cases down or he'll dismiss in the interest of justice. So when a cop goes, I've never been to a jury trial, that's not necessarily a good thing. But you only learn how to testify and how to survive on a jury in front of a judge, in front of lawyers, because, you know, you're talking about being in a fishbowl here. You got the judge watching you, you got defense watching you, you got the prosecution watching you, you got the defendant watching you. So you got people in the jury room, and you got the 12 jurors watching you. So you are seriously in a fishbowl when you get on the stand. And this woman is facing 99 years in prison for murder. She's already lost her job. She's been beat up for over a year now. And they are going to smear her and make her look like crap. So she's basically in fight or flight while she's on the stand a little bit. She's in fear of her life and her freedoms. So let's get into her testimony here.
Call your first witness.
This calls Amber Guyger.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
She's standing there, her hand's shaking a little bit. I don't know if you saw that. She's nervous. Anytime you get in front of a jury and you take an oath, I mean, you kind of get a little flush face. You kind of, this is important. You're swearing that you're going to tell the truth. I mean, to me, every time I took an oath, my heart rate went up. And her heart rate's going up because she's about to fight for her life. And she's going to have people attacking her.
Thank you. Please make yourself comfortable.
Honor,
Yes, please.
state your name for the record, please.
Amber Renee Guyger.
Amber, you're going to have to keep your voice up while you testify, okay?
Okay.
How low?
Okay, so she's talking very low. He wants the jury to hear her and her to sound confident. She's having a hard time displaying confidence because she's scared to death. She knows that her whole life and her freedom depends on this. What she says could send her to jail or not send her to jail. She's questioning every word, and she's got all these facts going through her mind. So her testimony, and juries don't understand this because the prosecution didn't have an expert up there explaining all the physical things that happen when you go into fight or flight.
Sorry, Amber.
31.
Are you married or single?
Single.
Have any children?
No, sir.
All right. Where were you born and raised?
In Arlington, Texas.
And do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother and one sister.
You can tell her voice is a little crackling. To me, this is normal. I don't have a problem with it. But to an educated juror, they may see that as, oh, she's lying. Oh, she's trying to hold back. Oh, I can't hear her. She doesn't want us to hear her. She must be lying. So anybody can read in anything they want into this. I'm reading into it not because she's a cop and I got no dog in this fight. I don't give a... If they sent her 99 years, it doesn't affect me one bit. I'm just trying to explain the law and get you to understand when you're on a stand, it's very critical and you're being evaluated. If you've never done it, it's pretty scary.
Okay. Who's the oldest?
My sister, Allie.
Your sister Allie?
Allie?
How much older is Allie?
She's 38.
38?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about your brother? How much older is he?
He's 2 years older than I am.
What's his name?
David.
What's he do for a living?
He's in the Navy.
How about your sister?
She works at a restaurant.
So these questions are what I call kind of breaking in your witness a little bit. This DA is trying to humanize her, or her lawyer, not the DA. This is her lawyer. He's trying to humanize her. He's trying to make her look like, hey, she's got family. She's a person just like you or me. Don't judge her like everybody's making her out as this mean cop that just ran in to shoot somebody who was eating ice cream for no reason. So he's trying to make this human connection with her and the jury. He's also letting her kind of getting her legs wet a little bit to like, if I get you talking about things you're comfortable about and I don't get into facts, maybe you'll relax a little bit. Her mouth is going to be dry. You could tell her neck's a little red. So she's going to have a hard time swallowing. She may have crackling vest. She may start coughing. Those are all things of someone being nervous. Now, sometimes people are nervous because they're guilty. Sometimes they're nervous because their life's on the line. I think her life's on the line. I don't think she's trying to be, lying and make up her story like a lot of people who want to see the worst in this.
So you were the youngest.
Yes, sir.
When you grew up, were your parents living together?
No, they were not.
Okay. When you were, as a small child, were they living together for some time?
Yes, they did for a little bit.
What time did they separate?
About when I was 5 years old.
Okay, so what does this have to do with whether or not she committed murder and went in the wrong apartment? Again, this is kind of letting the jury identify with her because you don't want to put this witness out as this fair-haired child that had the perfect life and, has been spoiled and ruined and she doesn't care about people and she doesn't have any hardship in her life and she had both parents. So is this really relevant? It's kind of painting a picture a little bit. It's giving her a chance to relax. Remember, everything that's being done in a courtroom is a show. And if you don't know to look at it that way, it's hard to, decipher out what's really relevant, what's really truth, what's really BS, what's really showmanship by the attorneys.
Who primarily raised you after that?
My mom did.
In Arlington?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did your mother work?
She did for when I was a childhood.
Okay. Did she have a full-time job?
Part-time job.
How were y'all, the family, provided for financially?
My dad helped out a lot with us.
Okay. Was your mother primarily a stay-at-home mom when you were younger?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what part of Arlington did you live in?
In the east part of Arlington.
Okay. Were you in a big house, small house?
It was a small house.
Tell the jury where you went to school in Arlington.
I went to elementary to Blanton Elementary.
So this question is what you call an open-ended question. He doesn't want a yes or no answer. These other questions were kind of closed, where your parents, you can answer with a yes or no, or come with a quick, were your parents together? No. Who primarily raised you? My dad. Those are kind of closed-ended questions. I want a specific. This question, he says, explain to the jury where you went to school. This is where he's like giving her a chance to sell herself. She can go off and just say what she needs to say and become human and maybe connect with the jury. So that's the purpose behind this open-ended question. Go ahead and explain to the jury where you went to school. Let them get to know you because they're going to judge you on whether or not you go to jail for 99 years.
And then I went to Carter Junior High, and then I went to Sam Houston High School.
Okay. And you graduated from Sam Houston High School?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you were in high school, did you have any extracurricular activities?
Yes, I did.
What were those?
I was in swimming, band, orchestra, and I played in a mariachi band.
Okay. So you enjoyed music?
Yes, sir, I did.
Playing a mariachi band. We got to get historical culture because they're playing the white card, you're mean, white, you must be a racist. So by playing in a band with multicultural, that means you're not a racist. I mean, to me, all that is BS. I don't really give a shit. But there's people out there that live in a world of color.
What type of instruments did you play?
I played violin and trumpet.
Okay. When did you learn to play the violin?
I started playing violin when I was in the 5th grade, and I picked up trumpet when I was in the 9th grade.
Okay. So you were in the marching band and the orchestra,
Yes, sir.
and you also joined the mariachi band.
Yes, sir.
When did you join that?
I joined it my junior year of high school.
So she's doing pretty good at trying to answer the jury and look at the jury when she responds instead of the attorney. What a lot of attorneys will do is they will move over to the jury when they're questioning you. So even if you're looking at them, it looks like you're looking at the jury, and the jury can connect with you better if you're looking at them. You'll notice she keeps glancing over there. Well, that's because the defense is always placed at a disadvantage farther from the jury. The prosecution, the DA, the government, they get all the advantages. They get to sit next to the jury. They want to connect with the jury and be close to the jury. So the government is sitting right by, and the DA is sitting by the jury. So when the DA questions her, she's looking more at the jury. But that's the harming part. So her looking over at the jury every now and then helps that she's talking to the jury and not just talking to her lawyer. Because sometimes jurors will get turned off. I didn't like this witness. He would never look over at us. You know, so again, you're being judged. So you have to kind of factor all these things in when you're trying to answer truthfully and you're trying to recall facts, and you don't want to misstate facts, and you don't want to piss off the jury. And so again, where a lot of people think testifying is you just get up there and tell the truth, that's not necessarily so correct.
Okay. And what instruments did you play in the mariachi?
Violin, trumpet, and I sang.
Did you continue that after you graduated?
Yes, sir, I did. Did it for about 6 years. Some of the girls that were with us in high school, we started our own, and we just go to like quinceañeras, to Mother's Day, Father's Day, to birthday parties, and just perform.
Okay. The neighborhood you grew up in and the school you went to, was it multiracial?
Yes, sir, it was.
Here we go. We got to get in that I'm not a white racist. It's almost like we have to prove we're not racist, where it should be somebody should have to prove that you are. But we live in an upside down world. I digress. Go.
All right. Let me talk a little bit about your other activities in high school. Did you begin to work when you were in high school?
Yes, I did.
Tell the jury what job you held while you were in high school.
I worked at a retail store called Stephen Barry's in Arlington.
And what did you do at the retail store?
I was a retail associate and ended up working my way up to an assistant manager.
How,
So this low talking thing to me a little bit is, I mean, look, this girl's a cop. She's got to yell. I can't imagine her running around with a little bitty Mickey Mouse voice as a cop. But I'm cutting her some slack because I know she's been under stress for a year. She feels ashamed. She's nervous of this outcome. She probably hasn't slept very well. She's probably so tired of talking and saying a story from interviewing, from her attorneys to her friends to her people who want. I mean, so I get why that's coming, but it's a little bit, for a jury that doesn't understand all that, it's kind of like, why is she being all Mickey Mouse? She's a cop. She must be faking it. You don't want the jury to think you're playing them. Although that's all the two attorneys do, is try to play the jury.
how many hours did you work while you were in high school?
It was full-time.
Now, when you were growing up, you eventually became a Dallas police officer. Did you figure out what you wanted to be when you were a little kid?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oh, my timer went off, so I'm at 15 minutes. I'm going to stop this here and we'll go to part 2 so people can watch it, at their leisure. They know where to place. So we'll end that there and we'll resume in part 2.